You can feel the moment someone stops valuing you. They still talk to you, but something changes. Suddenly, you're easier to interrupt, easier to ignore, easier to put on hold. And when that happens, most people make the same mistake. They give more energy. They explain more. They try harder to reconnect. But the real trick is the opposite. Stop giving energy, not to be petty, not to punish the other person, but to test the truth of the relationship. Because when you stop giving energy, what happens next tells you everything you need to know. I remember the exact moment I realized this in my own life. If you have kids, you probably know that attention in a relationship becomes a constant balancing act. There's always something pulling at both of you: work, kids, messages, responsibilities. Most of the time you just adjust and keep going. But one evening I noticed something small that really stayed with me. We were in the middle of a conversation and suddenly my husband glanced at his phone. Then he checked his watch. It only took a second, but in that moment, something really clicked with me. I realized something had changed. I could be put on hold at any time. And maybe you've felt that moment too, when you're talking to someone and suddenly you realize you're no longer the center of their attention, when the conversation could suddenly become background noise and you're still giving your full attention. Once you notice that feeling, it's hard to ignore it. Now, at first, my reaction wasn't very graceful. I complained, I blamed, I said things like, "You never listen anymore." And of course, that totally made him defensive. Because when someone hears, "You never do this," or "You always do that," the conversation instantly becomes a fight instead of a solution. And for me, nothing actually improved. And this is the part most people don't realize. When we realize that someone isn't valuing us anymore, our instinct is to give more energy. We explain more. We push harder to reconnect. We try to fix the distance as quickly as possible. But ironically, that extra energy often creates even more distance. But something interesting happened that I didn't expect. The moment I stopped giving energy, whole dynamic changed. And this is the part most people miss. When someone stops valuing you, the instinct is to give them more energy, to kind of chase the conversation, the connection. We explain ourselves. We try harder to be understood. But here's the truth. When someone stops valuing you, that instinct to give more energy is working against you, because the moment you stop, the truth of the relationship will become clear to you. And the reason for this is psychological. When someone's behavior triggers that feeling of being ignored or dismissed, your brain reacts as if something important is being threatened. Your nervous system goes into survival mode. Your focus fixes on the connection. So you push, you argue, you over-explain, you try to force clarity. But when you're in that reactive state, you're not really responding to the moment. You're reacting from a triggered place, from somewhere in the past. And that's why the situation escalates instead of improving. Now, stopping the energy doesn't mean ignoring someone or shutting them down. That actually is going to escalate it even more. It simply means stepping back from the reaction. Instead of immediately explaining, arguing, or trying to fix the moment, you pause. You give yourself a little space before responding. Sometimes that pause is as simple as taking a breath, noticing your body, or asking yourself, what actually just happened here? Because that small step back interrupts the pattern where we keep pouring energy into something that isn't needing us. And that small step back is often enough to completely change the dynamic. And you can actually test this in real time. The next time you notice yourself trying harder to be heard, trying harder to explain, trying harder to pull someone back into the conversation, pause for a moment. Stop giving energy and just notice what happens. Because when you stop giving energy, two things actually happen. Either the other person steps up, they realize something shifted, They become more present. They start engaging differently, or they don't. And that tells you something really important, because when you stop overcompensating with energy, you start seeing the relationship more clearly. Healthy relationships aren't built on chasing attention. They're built on partnership, mutual presence, mutual respect. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do in a relationship isn't giving more energy. It's stepping back long enough to see what's really there. So if you ever feel like someone doesn't value you anymore, before chasing, before explaining, before trying harder to prove yourself, try this simple shift. Stop giving energy. Create a little space and watch what happens. Because what happens next will tell you everything you need to know. And if this resonates with you, and if you want support navigating these kinds of relationship dynamics in your life, you can schedule a call. The link is in the description. Sometimes having someone guide you through these patterns can make all the difference. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.